Yes, we're here. Emuna is our future with music and comedy uplifted. It's going to be elevated to a whole new level. That's today's class, and I'm really happy to join you. Together, we are at a special middle point of the 3 weeks. I have the pleasure of having my daughter sitting here, Mindy, and I'm a little bit nervous to speak in front of her because usually it's just, you guys online. We have the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live, Instagram Live. Maybe we're having a little bit of a break on these classes for the Rav, please God. Rav Shalom, Arush, our host, and our beautiful center in Jerusalem. We're going to be going live, not this week, but next week with Instagram. That's where the questions should come while we're doing the class. YouTube and Facebook, you can send underneath and we'll keep those questions circulating. But it's not going to be this week. The Rav has a mission. Something big came up. So we're going to allow for a little break. And what we're going to do tomorrow night, Tuesday night, we're going to have a review. We're going to put up the playlist, and Emuna is our future tour playlist that has all the classes that we had. Amazing, uplifting questions and answers from the Rav Shalom Shlita. And we had Baruch Hashem, we had Rav Dayan Elgrad sitting here translating in English. And we had our guest, our special guest. We even had Rav Cohen translating in English as well for 2 weeks. And our guests were beyond, the realms of explanation and normalcy. They were something beyond, in a good way, in a positive way, in an uplifting way. We had Baruch Hashem, we had Nissan Black. And that was an amazing, amazing, amazing class on current issues right now, going on in the world, in a global level. And we had Baruch Hashem, following this in black, we had a special class, just Rav Arush and Rav Dayan Elgrad. And then that was the second class of Emuna class, question Q&A. And both of these classes, just by themselves, were already, thank God, online, a big success, heading up into the 80,000 views or so together. And then we had Shlomo Katz come with the music, and it got Lebedik, the energy. We felt the energy that week. And the whole thing developed into now we have a weekly class from Shlomo Katz. Isn't that amazing? And not only that, we had, thank God, with Mordechai Ben Avram a following week. Our wonderful speaker, he sat here and it was very insightful, and the questions he asked to the Rav took us to a different understanding of Emuna and how the vision of 2020 of how we should go ahead. And that's also, thank God, both these classes went into the 40,000 views. I'm just announcing the amount of views so you can just get an idea that this is serious stuff. We're not just, sitting in a studio talking to ourselves. People, thank God, are tuning in and you're sharing, you're interacting and giving us feedback, and we appreciate it. We want to say thank you to you guys, because without you guys, it wouldn't be so purposeful to do this, other than between us just getting some inspiration, which is good. But the Rav Baruch Hashem, he wants to get this Emuna out there into the world, as we heard from last week's class of Yosef Daniel, which so far is our 5th class, and he really gave a big push. So what was some of the themes that came up? We definitely had a bit of a music energy with Nissan Black and Shlomo Katz. Definitely felt that Emuna vibe, Yosef Daniel. He couldn't play the music, but he was able to be there and sing a little bit a cappella. And now we're at a point where during the 3 weeks where there is no music, but thankfully we have Rav Elgrad's Pesach. He gave us a beautiful class based on modern day poskim that we are allowed during the coronavirus challenge, where people are feeling much more pressured and much more down. I mean, just listening right now today to Joe Rogan, who's a comedian. He's a funny guy. And right now he's not so funny. In his most recent class I just listened to, you see that there's stress on the comedy world. They can't have their comedy clubs, and there's stress online. And the focus, unfortunately, say someone like Trevor Noah is a famous comedian, or someone like Ben Shapiro, who's not a comedian, he's a media personality, but you see it's become much more serious. Like the humor somewhat had to step back a little bit, and we had to see a little bit the stress, the change. They're now, everyone's in their quarantine, or their bedud, what we call it in Hebrew, or they're sitting in lockdown, or however you want to explain it. They're not in their studios, and they're managing to somehow figure it out, how to go ahead. And that in itself was a class we spoke about, going ahead no matter what during this time. But you see the energy of the comedy is not exactly how it was, a little bit 3 weeks style, maybe. Rav Shlomo Katz said on his class, which we have weekly now Sunday, on Rabbi Nachman's Torahs, he spoke about how we're actually in Elul right now. There's a certain feeling of Elul because of the tshuva, but I don't know, tshuva, and that was his words. We have the idea of music and comedy as something which you wouldn't really put together during the 3 weeks, because it's a serious time. Things are a little bit stressful. So what we're going to talk about today, other than promote the fact that next week, please God, we have Shalom and we have Arush back here, please God, healthy and well. It's going to be hopefully with good news. He's going to be sitting here, and we're going to have Shalom Bizantz, who's from Ami Magazine, and he's going to give over a lot of Shalom, unity, and mindset of Emuna, how on all his journeys through Saudi Arabia and Dubai and Afghanistan and places that I haven't had the merit to be at, that he has had those journeys. He's going to give over that Emuna, that inspiration, and it's obviously meant to be that it's coming next week, Erev Tisha B'Av, on next Tuesday night. We're meant to have this kind of class, this vision of the future, of unity, of what it's like to be someone who's in media, and his personal journey. Please God, we'll get a little bit of insight into him and his questions to the Rav on Emuna, so that he can be encouraged. But this is part of today's flow, because we weren't expecting that we were going to cancel. We had everything set up. We'd advertised it that we're going live tomorrow night, and suddenly this morning I get notice from the Rav's son, and then confirmed by the Rabbinit, that we're no longer, Rabbinit Arush, that we're no longer going on a class tomorrow night, because the Rav has a mission, something's going on. So we'll pray for him to be successful, whatever that is. It'll be kept private, but let's just pray and daven that whatever the Rav's involved with should be successful. We put up a beautiful class of his life story on our YouTube video that was put together by the team down there. I wasn't involved personally, but we have the links down there pushing our beautiful studio classes, and we want you guys to join in and spread, because 40,000 views is impressive, but really my goal would be 100,000 views each class. Why? Because every question there is relevant. Making aliyah is not something just to watch and okay, that was interesting, but actually think about it on a real level. What does the Rav Arush say? What does the Rav say? What is the divine hashpah? What is the divine influence right now in this generation that we should make aliyah, or we shouldn't, or we should stay in Eretz? So all the different questions that came up, stay in America, stay wherever we are, whatever our scenarios are. I mean, I was speaking to a friend personally, and it seems like very much the time right now to just sort of internalize and focus on where you're at. So that's one of the things I want to say thank you Hashem publicly. That where I'm at is, thank God, in a brand new studio. That's what got built during Corona, and we're able to do these classes in a nice air-conditioned place. My daughter's sitting here happily, just has to be here for some reason, and we have our friend out there helping us with the video. And please God, when we have Rav Arush, the whole team of sound, and we're slowly, hopefully, getting it better and better. We're going to try to put out some more shortened versions and nice clips. There's lots of nice, exciting things ahead. Plus, not only that, we're always increasing our classes. We have now Rabbi Yonatan Balash on YouTube. Exciting. He's giving over on Panasa series, be able to help us with the money. Everyone struggling a little bit with that right now during the Corona challenge, because right now in Eretz Yisrael there has been that second wave. Personally, thank God I had my test, and thank God I'm not positive, which I try to always be positive, but in this case I was not positive and I was negative, and that's good. So thank God coronavirus free, and it was an easy test. You just there was a Corona van. It's pretty cool. These are the kind of things that are going on right now in the overall story. We put it all together. How does it tie into the 3 weeks and the past years? We just went through Matas Masai, Chazak. We finished Sefer B'Midbar. We're in the last holy book of the 5 Torahs, of 5 Chumshei Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu, of Mishnah Torah. That Moses himself is the one who's speaking this Torah into reality, this 5th book. All the 4 books before, and some say there were 6, because of B'Midbar, you'll see, it was divided into 3 as a Gemara. But without going into that whole concept, basically there's 5 books, and the 4 books we just had, Bereshis, Shmos, Vayikra, B'Midbar, and they were all Hashem himself transmitting directly to the Jewish people, and then comes through Moshe Rabbeinu, the 5th book, Mishnah Torah, that Hashem was speaking to Moshe, and the 5th book came out. The Moshe Rabbeinu himself was the one that it would come through like a summary. As we say by the Rambam, he was a summary. There's no one like Moshe. We have this summary of the whole Torah from the Rambam. So Moshe Rabbeinu in his time was to summarize the whole Torah from before that, and there comes out a little bit of criticism, a little bit of intensity onto the Jewish people. And remember, the Torah is eternal, so whatever's written there is something relevant right now. There's a certain feeling right now in the world of intensity, and it comes out during the climax of the 3 weeks. We're heading in towards the time of Tisha B'Av. We'll talk about it more next week, hopefully. The vision that we want to have for the future, that's the day of Tisha B'Av. It's not about just mourning the past, but it's about building the vessel for the future. Where we are right now, in the middle of the 3 weeks, we should not be talking about music and comedy. But I want to talk about it. Why? Because once again, we had a Pesach, we had a Heta from Rav Dayan Elgod. And during the coronavirus, everyone is struggling more. That's the argument. That we're having a painful time, it's difficult, and to be besimcha, to be happy, to have Emuna, we have to use all the tools that Hashem gives us, and one of them is music. There's no live music. Now, we didn't have Yosef Dinner with a guitar as much as we would have loved it. We don't have me with a guitar. I have a guitar. And not only do I have that, but I have an album. I could put it out right this minute called United Souls Collaboration Album. I could release it today, and I haven't, because I'm waiting for Tu B'Av. That was the time which I had this vision of a universal collaborative event of all the different musicians in the world streaming in and doing a big event on Tu B'Av 2020. And what did Hashem say? Tafshin Pei. What did Hashem say? He changed the situation. It's all good. That we basically turned around this time from being able to do live events to bring it online, to digitalize it. And that's what Hashem's wanting. And even during the 3 weeks, like I said, you're allowed, al pi halacha, to listen to music digitally. Like someone asks if you're watching a video of the Rav and there's music in the background, because that's how videos are made a lot these days. My one doesn't have music, but a lot of videos have corporate videos have these background music, like cool stuff to just generate the emotions or whatever. It's like every movie nowadays, the theme of the music behind it, we know, is big deal. One of the things my uncle, for many years, he's been involved with one of the most famous, amazing, screenwrite, I think the word is. You do all these. I mean, you guys, you're on the video. Maybe you can help me with the words. I'm just trying to remember. But basically, there's a famous guy. Just some reason his name went out of my head. But my uncle's involved with him, and all those big shows that he's been doing the last few years on his tour, it's all to do. You know what? We can right here Google it. That's the amazing thing. We'll just Google my uncle as we're sitting here. Unbelievable technology. Comes up my uncle's site, and right there, when you go there, you'll see on his site. Here we go. Let's see. Then he says on his site that life is about luck and timing. I don't know. It's all about divine providence, but he's definitely been successful. Where is it? He's Jules Holland. He had to delay. Hans Zimmer. There we go. Hans Zimmer event was delayed because, not delayed, was going ahead, was this big visual event of all those movie soundtracks. That's the one. So that idea of a music being very powerful to create emotion, and the whole movie industry and all the advertising industry, everything we do now surrounded by this intense music experience, that's not actually forbidden. It's not forbidden during the 3 weeks, especially during coronavirus. Even though when I learned the halachas years ago, generally should try avoid music situations. People's feelings of when they go on these videos is right that they shouldn't listen to the music, maybe turn the volume down or off. Thank God people are sensitive to the mourning and the halachas. But because we're in such a specific, unique situation, time in history, and we don't want to get depressed, we don't want to get down. Mental well-being, emotional well-being is priority. Yeah, it's not just about how good a speaker or how good the idea is, but it's about actually affecting the heart level, about becoming into a healthier place, and that's what we hope is music. And that's why I spoke about when we posted last week Nissim Black's new video, Best Friend. We spoke about to Nissim himself. We asked him, we want to post it. He says, look, it's not my site. You guys get on with it, decide what you want to do. So we spoke, the Rabbonim, and like we said, we have this Heta, but we also spoke to Nissim Black about what was behind the song. So the message, if anyone watches the video, it's a little bit goofy, like comedy style. And he watched this idea, this fun, guy Z comes in, it's and the whole thing, and he dressed up at Purim Dik. It's a fun video. You come there, and he released it during the 3 weeks with the music part at the end. And you're thinking, wow, what's different? So we posted on our site, not because you guys who don't want to listen to music should. No, don't listen to music. If you're feeling good, Baruch Hashem, you're in a stable place, you don't need the music. Halab B'yah, keep the halachas ad asof. But it's safe for the people who need the music. They need the uplifting energy. They need to be uplifted. That's the idea of this class. And they want to go to, say, Joe Rogan or some comedy guy, and Michael McIntyre in England. Yeah, he's a funny guy waving his hair around. All these guys, you want to see them. A lot of them, unfortunately, aren't so appropriate, which is definitely something to think about. For me personally, if I would recommend anyone, I would recommend Rav Fishel Shechter, Rav David Orlovsky. The Rav himself has lots of jokes. You can go to his classes and see these jokes, and you'll see something very positive in his way of humor and the way, just even with our classes, he laughs and he gets that energy. And like Yosef Daniel was making some jokes and he was laughing. Like, I've been around some big rabbis, and they were like quite serious. I'll say some names because it was their personality. It was known. Moshe Shapiro, very serious energy. Like, you felt a lot of Yiras Shamayim when you're around him. And when I was by Rav Eliashiv a few times, I had the merit to be by Rav Eliashiv, and very serious. I mean, truth is, he was singing. I was on Shabbos, and he was singing a little bit to himself. So he was in a good mood. But it's still, you feel certain. But Rav Arush is slightly like, thank God, you see, Chaim, but you see Rav Arush is able to give that simcha of Breslov and Rabbi Nachman. Nachman ben Simcha, that name, has in it the idea of simcha, his whole essence, his atzim, betoich, simcha, yeah? But when you do a mitzvah, you have to do it with simcha. So you say, but right now we're at the end of Tammuz. Tammuz is a time not for simcha. No, but the truth is, there's a climax. For Mishnah Adam b'simcha say tzadikim. So Ad, the end of Tammuz. The end of Tammuz right now still hasn't happened yet. Even in the 3 weeks, still going up in simcha all the way from Rosh Chodesh Adar. Some people say that, even with the coronavirus these last however many months since then. But at the same time, you go into the Rosh Chodesh Av, Menachem Av's coming up this week, and Martin b'simcha, you have to go down in simcha. But simcha does not mean you're going down in simcha, you're still b'simcha. There's still a level of simcha. You don't go into depression, God forbid, atzvus, to atzlus, to feelings of not functioning. That's nothing to do with the halacha of miyat b'simcha. So therefore, and it says in my Chassidus in Tolna, he said that a Tisha B'Av in Tolna was more simchadik than Simchas Torah by square. I'm saying that from Tolna. So the idea that Tisha B'Av itself even should not be allowed to become a day of sadness in the most full way. This is a little bit revolutionary for maybe some people, talk this way, but the concept is that we are in a generation right now where it's a kanas nefashos, and not just physically because of the virus, but it's also the virus, it's the sadness, it's the biggest avera there is, so we have to have the music and the comedy, the jokes, we have to get a little bit of that joy. I had some guests this last Shabbos, and they were very special, honored guests. I really enjoyed them. We spoke about these concepts of these 3 weeks, how they're very holy time, that they're Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, that we're coming up to. We have a Masechta in Bechoros. Bechoros in Daf Ches, and the Marsha explains it with the idea of an egg and its cycle, 21 days. These 21 days beginning from the Yud Zayin B'Tammuz till Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, these special days have in it, these 21 days, the growth cycle of an egg, have in it hidden aspects, as the Marsha, of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, these special times, the 21 days that we climax again after the 7 weeks that we can after Tisha B'Av. We have 3 weeks, which we're in now. Then we have 7 weeks, which we spoke about last year and the year before maybe, about the idea these 7 weeks are misak in the midas, and we go on this journey. Please God, maybe after Tisha B'Av we'll talk about these 7 weeks and how there's the 7 weeks of comfort, but there's also spiritually, there's like a Sfiras HaOmer kind of experience, those 50 days from from Tisha B'Av to Rosh Hashanah. But then we come again to another 21 days, Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur to Sukkot and Simchas Torah. That's the climax of the 21 days, just like Tisha B'Av is the climax of these 3 weeks. So what's going on? What's the connection? So says the Marsha, there's a hamtachas adinim, a sweetening of judgment that we're trying to do through the Golus, through the exile, through the sadder times, not sadness, but through the sadder times, the more difficult struggle times, and we're trying to elevate this time, these 3 weeks, and from the hidden deep inside these 3 weeks, in these parshas, in Devara, and we're seeing Moshe Rabbeinu talk to us quite strong, but really comes that hidden love comes out, and that's why the next following Shabbos is Ves Chanan. We hear how much Hashem loves us. We focus on the love, the Avos Hashem, on the love right after Tisha B'Av. We really, even reading on Tisha B'Av, Einod Mavada, we're reading that idea, there's nothing else for Hashem, we'll talk about it next week, but the idea that we're tuning into a reality of oneness, of unity, like we're speaking about with my collaboration album. And once we tune into these unified experiences, these united souls, that we're all really one soul, all the musicians and all the souls. There's another guy right now as we're speaking trying to send me another song. We might put it out as a single. Another Baruch Hashem talented artist, musician, because we need to get people's spirits to a better place. That's part of what we're doing on all our Emuna posts. We're trying to get a lot of positivity. We have Baruch Hashem. We have our new Basques. We spoke about them. This is the one I'm personally wearing right now a lot. I know I have Kol Yehudim, to love all the people, and that's very important in this time right now to get into that feeling of love and joy, even during the 3 weeks. so that the comedy, the jokes we make before a class, as it's brought down in Chazal, in the Torah, and with the kind of energy we bring out to get people to be stimulated in an enjoyable way. So like you say, well, where's my humor? Yeah. So for that kind of experience, you're going to have to come for Shabbos. You can ask my guests I'm not going to tell you who they are, but if anyone who's come in the past, we try to have fun. Some of my old students remember we had a lot of fun. A little bit of l'chaim and a little bit of simcha and a little bit of joke. Hopefully, it was appropriate. I didn't offend anyone, and if I do, ask forgiveness. But the idea of getting that joy and that energy at the Shabbos table, getting that simcha, getting that feeling of experience of a little bit of comedy, and then the Shabbos mirrors to sing together. Rabbi Nachman was the only thing, said Rabbi Elkron, and we posted it just now from his South Africa trip. The only thing he was makbid on, he was strict, angry in a way. He was strict about Rabbi Nachman, who was always happy and joyful and trying to generate positivity to the world. Rabbi Nachman ben Fagin, what was he makbid on? The people weren't singing at the Shabbos table, even during these 3 weeks, and even more so Erev Tisha B'Av. It says the Shabbos that falls out even on Tisha B'Av. It's Shtoche the Tisha B'Av. We have to sing. I don't know, there's different customs. People have different minhagim, but most of the customs that I've been aware of and experienced, and especially for now, for this generation, we don't need to be good at being depressed. It's not going to help us. Yeah, it's not a tool so much. Maybe for some unique people, or some unique custom people that get a simcha from that. But for majority of people that I meet and know, they're all struggling so much, and I see online and see their messages, and Gedalia Fentz talks about it, and Rav Arush for sure. The questions we get for Rav Arush, the struggles that people are going through economically and emotionally and spiritually, they need encouragement. People need rak hazak v'amatz, as says Moshe to Yeshua, and Yeshua to Am Yisrael, rak hazak v'amatz, only encouragement and chizuk. We only want feedback that generates more emunah, that gives us ability to mashpia. Fine, we all need to have a little bit of criticism. We see from Moshe Rabbeinu, it's okay, a little bit of critique, but it's with Te'elis. It's not just stum because you want to say something. It's with like a gentleness and an understanding that it's hard to hear criticism, especially for our generation. Rikiva said you can't give a techocha ela b'toch ava. It has to be with ava. Tochach says tochach Yud Gimel, with the Yud Gimel, which is Gematria Ava, the Echad, has to be with that oneness, it has to be with that Ava. That Tochav says, I think the Rav Shimshon, not Rav Shimshon Pinchas, Rav Rafael Shimshon Hirsch, I think his name was, yes, Rav Hirsch. He said that Tochacha ends off of a Ches and a Hey, which is Gematria Yud Gimel, has to be of a Chad and a Hava. You want to give Musa, you want to correct someone, you want to help someone grow, it has to be Ava. So who could do that? Moshe Rabbeinu could do it, because he had oneness and love for Am Yisrael. And Rav Arush on his level probably can give on some small level. And like I had told you last week, my Rebbe on his level told me, but what was my Rebbe's Musa? To not get into a niggin of sadness, to get into a niggin of happiness, to have that music that uplifts, to have music that gives us hope, to have music that's inspirational, that has role models. Like Nissan Black right now was on Today TV. I haven't been on Today TV, and I don't know many Rabbonim who made it on Today TV or any other of these kind of networks. And that's an incredible opportunity as a student of the Rav and a student of Rabbi Nachman to be mashpia, someone who went on such an amazing journey, to be able to mashpia, and I encourage him and then support him in that. And that's something which all of us can do on our own level. We all have now online tools. You can share, you can tweet, all the positive stuff out there. If you're not online as much, then you can still give it over to your friends, your family. Like the Rav said, he wants everyone. The people, the Rav Yosef Daniel asked, what can you do to help? So think about, what can you do to help to get music and joy and comedy, like a little bit of fun? So my wife and I were discussing, just to like end off the class. Yeah, Mindy, who's that? Mummy? Yeah, we were discussing, she heard. You want to come say hello to everyone? You can come say hello. Too embarrassed? Oh, Baruch Hashem. B'nai Sisol. Sneers. Baruch Hashem. But we have Mindy sitting here. I'm not going to turn around the cameras. It's up to her. She can decide whether she wants to be in it or not. I got a nice picture. Maybe I'll use it for the audio, for the Brez of Israel podcast. We'll use it as the audio. She's like a smaller version, so it's still Sneers. And she'll be in the picture. And Baruch Hashem, we can look at Mindy and with her tati. And that's beautiful in this beautiful studio. But that's the tova that we can all do. Our name's Mildred Tova. So we want to focus on the good. And I was speaking to my wife, and it was a beautiful concept of laughter. What is laughter? Like with the way she explained it, you guys need to think about it. And I give thanks to my soulmate for giving me this tool, this idea. But it comes together with acceptance. The acceptance, to have acceptance. We spoke about letting go. We spoke about having self-esteem and emunah and being able to have self-worth and all these concepts. But be able to accept the situation accept that there's no shir tomorrow night, Rav Arush. Accept that people have been in quarantine. I had a whole Shabbos in quarantine, even though I didn't have corona and I didn't need to be in quarantine because the person wasn't near enough, blah, blah, blah. But that came out. I ended up Shabbos in quarantine. Accept the reality. Accept all the different things that cancelled. When Nissan Black had corona, now it's public knowledge. And I spoke about it last week, but I didn't mention his name. But I had to cancel that booking in Brazil. And all the situations that we do that go ahead, that you have to accept the change. I'm a booking agent and it's a whole different world out there. What can I do? So I'm putting out a collaboration out of it because that's the acceptance, that's the versatility, that's emotional intelligence. You switch up your strategies, your approaches, how to make a living, how to have a relationship, what to do now. Shabbos, you're at home with the family, you can't go to shul, so then you put the energy into being with the family and the shul energy to put that spirituality into the home, into the family, into your friends, into your network. Whatever your situation is, you don't have a family, put it into your sphere of influence. If you don't have a sphere of influence, you're a lone soul, can be. Then talk to Hashem and bring down positive energy in the world. Because every mitzvah, every positive thing, every positive thought, every positive word, every positive action, it creates a different world. It makes the world good. And that's all we have to do. So what was my wife saying? Acceptance. Just accept. And that in itself gives you a sense of humor. It gives you power to laugh a little bit and not to take life too heavy or serious, because you suddenly accept that this is the situation. 2020 vision. We're just going up to Rosh Hashanah. Who knows? We're going to be in Uman, where we're going to be, what's going to be with the new year. We're going to all go to Shul and pray to Hashem. We're going to pray with these 21 days now and these 3 weeks now and churn around this exile, in the exile. And we're going to go through these 7 weeks of Nechama. And then we're going to come to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur and Sukkot, but we're going to do it with simcha and with acceptance. And we're going to laugh. We're going to have joy. Because remember, one of the things Rabbi Tat says, what's joy? Why do you come to Schok la'asid, this laughter of the future? As Yamale Schok Pinu, that in the future our mouths will fill with laughter. That's how we'll end off the class. That in the future we will be laughing so much. We're going to have such true comedy. We're going to look back at this whole crazy joke of a history. Say with a guy like Trump, we're going to look back. I mean, it's given comedians like Trevor Noah more material than they can even deal with. Such a personality like that. And such personalities in the world in all different places. They're comedians. It's all a joke. It's like a spiel. It's one big theater and production and one big Purim fest. And what do we do as a Jew? How do we look at this whole reality that we're in and not laugh? But fine, are we allowed to do that now during these 3 weeks or coming up to 9 days? Are we allowed in Al Pi Halacha? No, we're not allowed to fill up our mouth completely into complete hysterics. But there will be that final laughter. I don't know if any of you saw Soundgarden. It's an old video. But their mouth gets so big with the laughter, the light. I don't know if it's black hole sun, but whatever. But Mashiach, not this black hole sun, but Mashiach, the big light, is going to come and our laughter, our smile. As the Tzaddikim say, we're going to sing to each other, says the Midrashim. We're going to sing. We're going to laugh and have joy and simcha. And this is the kind of turnaround we need to put into the world, the energy we need to put, the dafka in the coronavirus, in the 3 weeks, in a time where there's so much stress and struggle. We're going to have some joy, going to laugh, have simcha, going to have music, and fine, we're going to be respectful 100% to halacha, to keep the rules, but we're going to have that inner journey, that inner panemius of wanting these kind of things and yearning for the times of Mashiach where we will truly laugh and rejoice. Amen. Thank you for joining us. Please share on. Enjoyed being here with all you guys. That's it.